Guys, welcome to another commentary done by Diggity. This is BSL 17 Hasuleague Finals, Game 5 between Urbmon and Ranged. Best of 7, so Ranged still has a shot, but he's now up against the wall. This is going to be on Circuit Breaker. And I want to quote friend of the chat, Piano, where Urbmon is a macro beast. He's got the untamed macro, truly the heart of the Zerg right now. And I have to say, the recovery in that last game is insane. I am extremely impressed. Absolutely impressed. Side note, thank you from the raid from Jiraiya, BSL top 4 finalist from this previous season. I'm looking for it. Honestly, I'm expecting a lot of these guys to be in either Gosu League or Pro League next season for a number of reasons. I could see, like, honestly, all of the top 4 hopping ahead. I don't know what made Hasuleague so stacked this season. And another raid from Izu. By the way, you guys should check out Izu as well. Izu, a great player for CWT. When you can catch Veer doing the Brood War, when you find him doing the Brood War Clan League, Izu's oftentimes participating in the Clan League matches and does very, very well for his team. Gateway opener here from Ranged. We have an Overlord making its way top left. This is a 4-player map, and it looks like we have an overpool this time from Urbmon. So we'll see if Ranged is able to sniff out the pool timing. He's going to go for that Overlord cheat look at the 3 o'clock location, find nothing, and continue cross map. That's actually going to pay off well for him, because being able to see that spot, the overpool, confirm it early, is going to allow him to get a much, much earlier Nexus if he opts to, which I think he's going to want to, especially seeing the Gateway first, and also all of the play that Urbmon's been able to do with the annoying early Zealots. So the drone moving out to scout. He's not going to have absolute confirmation, though, until he gets absolutely into the main and sees the creep, because it could have just been an early scout making its way out. First Zealot in production, drone making its way bottom right, and a nice blockade from Ranged, able to get some good seconds. Is he going to get the drone too? I think he got first shot, so the drone retreating right this second. A second drone going to, but that's a massive time delay on that hatchery by several seconds. So early game victories. He didn't confirm the timing of the pool necessarily, but he sees the fact that there aren't 3 eggs hatching right this second, and the fact that Zerglings aren't on his face. He should know that he could probably sneak a Nexus right here. The drone's going to be able to cycle around. The Zealot actually, so gets spotted. I wonder if it was going for a cutoff route. So making its way to the potentially the 3rd to maybe try to delay that as well. The drone might have been able to get in there to stop that Nexus. Instead, it just is going to confirm the base and roll back out. Ranged dropping that hatchery now after that additional Zealot. Extractor plopping down. No 3rd base as of yet for Urbmon. Immediately filtering in Zerglings to gas. So I'm wondering if this is going to be a more aggressive hatchery opener. The Zealot waiting bottom right to see if that's where this additional drone's going. And it looks like, I believe, this setup, and let's see where Urbmon plants this. Is he going to plop it down to the natural here? He's going to be a little bit sneaky with this the hatchery placement. So going top left rather than the interior 9 o'clock, which tends to be a little bit safer. This does mean that he's more likely than not, so he's already teching to layer. All signs point to Mutalisk play to start. And with this much telegraphed, I'm wondering if Ranged is going to opt for double Stargate. And maybe, I think this is an okay map to go Corsair Reaver, to be honest. And I haven't seen it as of yet in a lot of the matches. Hoping to see it sometime in the near future. We have Zergling speed being upgraded. Layer about halfway finished. Cybernetic score morphing to just in case there was a 973 and a Forge. Usually this is indicative of expecting 3-hatch Hydralisk play. But he saw that layer out on the front. Nexus coming online in pretty good transfer right this second. But an additional problem for Urbmon in the midst of this is that he needs to maintain air control. And it's going to be, he has to build drones on site, because it is a long distance to travel between the natural or the main to get drones into that upper left-hand corner. So Spire, so layers up. Let's see if he plops down that Spire. We do have that Stargate being built. We have the Sacrificial Overlord making its way towards the front, a little bit delayed in the midst of this. So it's actually turning around right this second. So the tech on Range's side has not been confirmed. Urbmon, honestly, I don't think needs to commit that Overlord. Zealot trying to find that 3rd hatchery. Finds nothing here at the 6 o'clock. Is another one going to migrate out? I like that Urbmon's actually moving the Zerglings to the front to try to engage any sort of Zealot play that might move out to the upper left. This is kind of a very, very precarious, they're precarious stages here. The 7-minute mark as well, because Urbmon wants to try to get this up and established without too much trouble in between. A few additional Zerglings being produced. There is that Zealot on the ground, so let's see if these 4 Zerglings are going to be able to intercept it. That Zealot might just go for a run. Oh, Urbmon missed it. The Zealot able to actually sneak in is going to be able to confirm the Spire. Well, nope, it's holding short. So kind of a derp on both directions. The Zergling's not intercepting. So that Zealot not going to be able to get drones and not going to be able to, well, is he now going to be able to confirm the Spire? Okay, now able to move up and confirm the last seconds of a Spire. And let's see if ranged does the, and actually we have, yeah, a dedication to air with that +1 armor. Corsair making its way out to the 6 o'clock location. We do have a photon cannon to be in the defensive slot and a second Corsair queued up. I'm waiting for an additional Stargate potentially, but we have Templar Archives instead. Another hatchery now. That's kind of clever. Drop the 4th hatchery at the 4th and 5th hatchery. So I think this is going to be, I think we're going to see a movement to 6 hatcheries. Range still trying to find that additional hatchery. So right now he might even be concerned that, okay, am I going up against a 2-hatch all-in? Because he still hasn't been able to, did he just now, okay, he just now saw the edge. And Urbmon going for a quick 6 hatchery in the main top left. Do we have an additional Stargate? So Range is going to have his work cut out for him. Scourge trying to pressure in this, but Urbmon playing very, very economically aggressively. Wow. So 3 hatcheries, Hydralisk Den, and Creep Colony on the front. Still should be more of a Mutalisk play because the Hydralisk's just trying to reinforce top left unless there is a way fast move to Nidus Canal. Urbmon will potentially have to overproduce. So really, he should stick to Mutalisk play right this second. But he's going to go, he's going to go straight to Hive on this map and try to get a Nidus up top left before any of the speed timings hit. And so basically try to defend where he doesn't have to overproduce at either location. Ranged has a decent Corsair count. He's expecting airplay. +1 weapons is finished. I want to find the cybernetic scores. It hasn't gone for +1 air. In the midst of this, he's got some cannons down, and the Zealot's starting to fan out. We do have Lurker Tech morphing in between here. Hive Tech has started. And Urbmon honestly playing this almost as if he's playing up against a Terran. He's already got 4 bases up. That's 4 gases in control. 4 gas Zerg is scary against any opponent. He's starting to shell up in the top left. Sport Colony there as well, recognizing that he's got to play. Skipping the Mutalisks means he's got to defend on site, but he's got 3 hatcheries upper left, and he's got 3 hatcheries bottom left as well. And he's leaving all of his larvae to just spend at whatever location ends up with a hit. And he's hoping that there's just enough latent defense out on the front where he can produce enough to defend and then get that Nidus Canal up and just sail from there. Crazy strategy. I like it. I like the fundamentals of it. The one thing that Ranged could do to really upset this is just drop a lot of expansions himself once he recognizes the scenario. Instead, right now, losing a few Corsair on the front, a single Scourge chasing that off. I think now Ranged recognizes, okay, so he's moving out. He's going to drop this 3 o'clock, but honestly, he should drop another base on top of this near immediately because Urbmon is going to have some time where he's sitting in a tech spot where he's got to tech up. He's got to start saturating all this. There's some drones not on the lines yet, top left, where he's going to establish that 4th gas. And once he moves from there, he's going to have that jump to late game tech, and it's just going to be straight to Ultralisk from there. But if Ranged can grab some additional bases, tech himself up to match it, he might be able to pace. We'll have to see. We've got a Forge working on +1 weapons. The Corsair starting to sneak up top left. They're going to spot, okay, this is an additional base up, and that's scary. Some Zerglings actually looking to intercept a potential quick 4th base grab from Ranged. And the Scourge also finding a couple of these Corsair, keeping that count low. So Erdmann honestly in a fantastic position going to late game. So granted that I believe this delayed some of the weapons upgrades from Erdmann slightly, but having that Ultralisk additional Carapace more than makes up for it. Especially at a smaller base count when you got 4 gas, 4 base to work with from Zerg and you're ahead of your Protoss opponent. Yeah, Erdmann right now up economically. Close to being ahead in supply. The Double Forge has been running for range this entire time. So it's going to come down to some High Templar being able to do some drops. And right now, ranged moves in. And I would have a heart drop moment right here, seeing that Ultralisk Cavern, that Defiler Mound already being constructed. A Dark Templar sitting at the 6 o'clock to potentially deny that base. Erdmann also trying to deny bottom right to ranged. I'm curious if range is going to opt to try to clear out bottom right and grab that territory and maybe, again, make a quick switch to Corsair Reaver, which potentially could play well against Ultralisk, or if he's just going to sit on the 3 bases and play from there. Right now we have Zealots loaded up in this shuttle. The Nidus is here, so if Erdmann responds rapidly enough, he should be able to defend this without too much trouble. The Corsairs have managed to clear out a massive path. It looks like Range is staging up to go ahead and grab that 12 o'clock base himself, which is funny because it's usually you see Zergs play that. Range giving a forewarning actually with this Overlord kill, but I don't see things flooding through the Nidus just as of yet. So the Overlord's gone. A bunch of hatcheries. Here's the 3 Zealots. This is a bit of an economic disruption here. The Zerglings now filing in, but a little bit piecemeal. Keep in mind they're going to have Adrenal upgrades, which negates the so usually +2 weapons would be a lot scarier here. But because, especially against only +1 Carapace Zerglings, but because that Adrenal upgrade's in place, it really helps deal with that elegantly, I'll say. A lot of Lurkers now planted. We also have a Defiler, which is going to negate the Dragoon. It does not negate the Psy Storm, and we just have 4 Zealots, so I don't think this is going to get broken by ranged as well. Is starting to hammer away a little bit of the distance. Dark Swarm there. One of the Lurkers exposed, but there's no Observer alongside, so this is going to be free Lurker hits. Although it looks like actually they all got cleaned up by Psystorm as they're trying to field forward. So this might be a dead hatchery on the front. And Ranged is establishing that 12 o'clock underneath Erdmann's nose. So making the best of a bad situation here. But supply counts, and actually Range has actually surged in supply, so Erdmann kind of dropping the bucket, which is a new euphemism I've invented, apparently. And also this Evolution Chamber that's working on Carapace is going to get wiped out. That's a massive time sink. So Range is going to be able to maintain the weapons upgrade for quite a period of time. Some good Psystorms actually in between all of this. The Zergling's actually getting cleared out pretty well. And Erdmann, despite having, he's got a lot of resources in the bank, but not able to macro up. Maybe he was trying to save for an Ultralisk sweep here once the upgrades are finished. He's currently got 2 Zerglings at the 9 o'clock, hasn't grabbed that yet. Never, yeah, it looks like the Ultra's just now popping. So that might have been the reason, the modus operandi right there. +3 Carapace already there. You got that red ketchup out on these troops, which is weakening them considerably. Some Zerglings are fanning out to try to gauge the situation, so they know this base is not up, but that 3 o'clock, 9 o'clock, all of it in Range's favor. And Range actually with a massive supply lead. He's got these shuttles that could create some havoc. The Ultralisks are not in large enough numbers. Well, that's actually a pretty sizable number of Ultralisks, which is scary. So Ultralisk mid-map going to be able to repel a good amount of Range's army, where Range is definitely got to think about shelling up here. Yeah, he's got to think about shelling up and efficient trades from this stage on, and maybe getting some of those drops. I'll try to keep an eye on the mini-map, like right now, as we're getting another drop, and I think Erdmann might be distracted enough. This is kind of the problem without having Mutalisks out on the map, so very rapid reaction to get the drones out of there. A few of them picked off by that Psystorm in between. The Zerglings now flooding in. They're working on the spawning pool, which actually is pretty, well, gonna scoop right back up. I kind of like that, actually. Don't sacrifice units if you don't have to. Give Erdmann something to think about. Erdmann actually might, this is a little bit unorthodox, but might want to drop another hatchery, maybe even some spores along this edge. Looks like he's dropping some, actually might be able to wipe out this base here at the 3 o'clock. Things are looking dire for Ranged, because I don't think he can, well, maybe. That's a lot of Zealots, and they do have +3 weapons. So Ultras moving in. They got some Zergling support. The Zerglings are shredding that Nexus. Let's see if the Zealots are able to go in The Ultras are trying to buy time, and I think this Nexus, yeah, it's gone. Zerglings just shred it too quickly. Ranged, again, still with the supply lead, but now lost that 3 o'clock. I heard the explosion of a Reaver. It looks like 2 Reavers now here at the 3 o'clock. This is kind of a modified Corsair Reaver, so it looks like it's just going to be the Reavers floating around. The Zergling's still active, able to take out a worker, but the Nexus still replanted. Urban's sending out some additional troops. Mid-map, looks like the Zerglings, some nice Side Storm. Ooh, it unfortunately catching the edge of a High Templar, but the Zergling's getting expended primarily. And honestly, Urban, so he had all of the tools. He did the quick transition here. Is now grabbing additional bases. He's got ranged on the ropes, despite the 20 supply lead because of that tech differential. But range is holding on. A few more Zerglings trying to sneak in. The Reavers are there to defend. I'm waiting for robotics right on site. And so this is going to turn into a longer macro game. We got the double robotics now. I like seeing that. We should probably see robotics immediately here at the 3 o'clock and the 12 o'clock. It looks like not. So range maybe just going to try to funnel the units around with Reaver, which could be quite difficult. Urban moving troops into the middle of the map is able to get a decent plague right there, but right now just kind of donating Zerglings. And again, hasn't filled in with Ultralisks or higher tier units. So despite having that hive, the Ultra count has remained around 4, and this is allowing range to have, with massive supply and massive upgrades, to cycle in. Looks like he's going to be able to take this hatchery out. Might even be a threat here. The interior, because the Ultralisks against this Reaver at distance and the Side Storm, maybe if the Scourge can sneak in underneath, Defiler getting wiped out. Good plague on the Reaver to help soften them up. The Scourge trying to... Oh, that could have been... This is going to be a disaster. Okay, both Reavers able to exit. Looking for the Observer as well. One of the Observers is plagued, so it's a potential target, and Urban creating some chaos with the Scourge does get the shuttle. So now these Reavers are stranded. The Ultras now peeling forward. This is not the best engagement point, honestly, for either players. You got Side Storm and a lot of splash to drop. I actually kind of want to see a plague from downtown over the edge. I'm not sure if that's within range or not. But Urban pecking away at this, also going for a counter engagement here at the 3 o'clock. A single Zergling ignoring this probe that walked in to the bottom right. So in the late game, ranged actually might be able to surge ahead, continuing to get some good hits with the Reaver, able to walk them forward actually. And this is exactly what he wants to do. Get the pelting and wipe out these units in turn. Hydros are able to wipe out both Reavers to neutralize a little bit of that threat, but range thus far defending. So 3 o'clock's up, 12 o'clock's up. Urban a little bit gas deficient and hasn't been able to surge his supply, continuing to build some lurker eggs top left. I think he got to the point he wanted to, but didn't have a thought for the finisher potentially right now. So now expanding to the 9 o'clock, which is not yet saturated. Also expanding to the mineral only at the near location. Needs to make sure he continues to deny that 6 o'clock. Trying to retake that mineral only top left. Urban uncharacteristically dropping the macro ball here, but ranged his... But he's within 20 supply range. I hate that I have to say range so much in this when there's a player named Ranged in the midst of this. Side Storm a bit else. Urban actually ignoring the defense of that hatchery, going straight in, and that's allowing a counterattack, but that is a massive lurker field to shred a lot of this. So it looks like the army's going to die on both fronts. Those Archons able to take out the lurkers in between, but at the same time losing a massive amount of shield. And keep in mind, usually in late game situations like this, it's the Protoss that needs to make sure that they're getting able to shell up and defend. 18 kills on that Archon. Wow. That's something. Wonder if that's between Sidestorm and everything else. Some more units fanning forward. The Archon starting to press, able to actually pick off the Nidus Canal that was sitting on the front. We got 3 shuttles full of all sorts of Reavers. Scourge waiting in between. They're able to, looks like, at least offload 4 Reavers. They get that Nidus Canal. This could be very challenging. And honestly, if the Reavers just plant this could be 3 dead hatcheries very, very rapidly. And it looks like that is in fact going to be the case, targeting that bottom left. So massive damage right there. Well, let's see if they're able to get the continuation hit. Still killing a lot of Hydralisks as they're approaching. They're going to be stranded. One shuttle looks like it's going to be able to escape. Counterattack from Urbmon. It looks like the probes are, well, a few of the probes going to die as they're making their way bottom right. The Reaver's still standing. It looks like Can's able to clear out everything left. Second hatchery now down, top left. The Defiler just waiting to plague a large part of this. So all 3 hatcheries down on top left. Now Urbmon's got a production problem where he's got 4,000, nearly 5,000 minerals in the bank, but potentially not enough larvae to spend them, and he's down 80 supply, which is fantastic for range. 6 o'clock base being grabbed. In range in the meantime, he's got the 3 o'clock, he's got the bottom right. He could probably walk down and take the natural and maybe establish something there. He's got a good cannon wall at the 12 o'clock. A couple Archons. See how veteran these Archons are. It looks like they got 20 kills on that one now at this stage. So ranged in a solid position right this second. Can evict that Zergling to get the minerals. He split the math. It's usually a base +1. Yo, hold on, are we back? Bumped my, this is great, bumped my mic in the middle of his finals match. Professional caster Diggity here. Anyway, so bumped out my mic, we're back. Ignore that, never happened. Wave the hands. Big fight here. Urbmon losing a group of Hydralisks. Great drop. Able to kill a handful of drones and re-scoop. They're going to morph to an Archon in that pocket corner. So right, and it looks like a Zealot has managed to get the 6 o'clock and send some drones scattering here as well. So ranged able to create havoc. He's sitting still at the 12. Sorry, he's still sitting at 200 supply. I'm like regathering myself post everything. So the 3 o'clock base. So here we go. Main mined out, natural expansion mined out. He has his natural near here. The 12 o'clock base is humming for him. The 3 o'clock base is humming for him. He's now grabbing that natural and dropping some cannons. Moving in, he's going to be able to wipe out this 6. Urbmon completely out of position here. Archon's still waiting on that edge. So Urbmon actually taking heavy damages. Trying to scoop up the 12 o'clock. Lurker's able to plant on that cannon line. Reavers, however, slow walking their way in. Zerglings alongside. Let's see if the Zerglings are able to clear something out or if this is going to be sufficient. This is 4 Reavers, and that's a lot of damage. Urbmon wanting to get a tit-for-tat exchange. Some probes losing their lives along the lines. Looks like the Reavers mostly wiped out now. And that Nexus not getting focus fired. The Lurker's starting to work on it. Shroud is gone. Detection's in range, so it looks like this attack is going to get cleaned up. Observer scooting forward last second with the lack of cannons. Archon and Zealot continuing to deny the 6 o'clock. It looks like that Archon moved forward here bottom left. Might have targeted the spawning pool before getting wiped out. And I missed, it looks like an attack here bottom left as well. In the midst of everything collapsing on me, mic-wise. Reaver gone. More cannons warping in at the 12 o'clock. But as far as follow-up macro, Urbmon having trouble leaving a lot of these. He's got a massive bank, leaving a lot of these larvae fallow. And range in the meantime, doing a good job. And as I say that, the supplies instantly evening. But the 6 o'clock base has been hampered. That's, I'm going to say, an overall win for ranged right this second. It could go either way. Urbmon's got a massive bank to work with. Range has done a good job of locking down these bases, though. We got 6 Hydralisks. I don't know that it's going to be a bust. High Templar drops. Great Side Storm. Wiping out all sorts of drones. So that's another base that Urbmon's going to need to resaturate, trying to get additional Sunken colonies up. And he's going to be able to scoop up that High Templar to escape. Hydralisks making their way in, but there's a Reaver in place, so that's going to be it for the attack bottom right. And now Urbmon's got, so the top left actually mined out. The natural mined out as well. The main mined out. The natural mined out here. So Urbmon's actually down to the 9 o'clock base and is mineral only. And sorry, the mineral only up here as well. Which actually puts ranged up on bases towards the late stages here. And Range has done a fantastic job of macroing here in the late game to keep his army pegged at 200. And he's had very efficient exchanges. It looks like a drop starting to group up to plummet in the main. We got a bunch of High Templar there to clean it up. A swarm of units, including a lot of Ultralisks, going to clear out the 12 o'clock. This could be a big win for Urbmon if he's able to wipe this out and move in himself. The drop also moving bottom right. This could be the game-winning moment and a finals winning moment for Urbmon as he unloads. There's a lot of counter, however. But speaking of counterattacks, we got Range starting to move up to that mineral only. And Urbmon has precious few bases to drop right this second. It looks like the High Templar were picked off bottom right. The cannons have mostly been cleared up. And so it might be a dead base bottom right for Ranged. He's got a large army staging out of the top left, but most of the resources except the mineral only has been wiped out there. 6 o'clock base now getting grabbed from Urbmon. He still hasn't moved in to take that 12 o'clock. The Nexus hasn't been focus fired, so actually, and a Reaver and a Dark Templar and a High Templar are moving in like heroes now. And the counterattack at the mineral only top left is going to wipe out one of the few remaining bases for Urbmon. The drone's scattering, the Archon's trying to follow it. Now going to regroup, and try to focus fire that hatchery down. Actually, never mind. Looks like they're going to go ahead and whale forward. They're taking a lot of lurker fire as far as the follow-up. Some additional side storm now working on that hatchery. And with all these units here, I'm wondering if Range is even going to recapture that 12 o'clock base. Lucky dud there for Urbmon, starting to fan out with a lot of troops, looking for some targets. The 3 o'clock base is mined out, so he needs to attack bottom right, which is problematic because the resources he wants to take are at the 12 o'clock and top left. Caddy corner. Reavers trying to do what they can, flanking attack from Urbmon, Psystorm up the hill. The Reaver's getting pinned back by the Hydralisks and the Ultralisk. High Templar getting wiped out in between. And it looks like this is going to turn into a long starvation match here. The Reaver... Urbmon trying to fan out the Hydralisks. One High Templar remains. We still have this shuttle here at the 6 o'clock, which could create some chaos, but Ranged mined out at his main. So it's just mining bottom right, but it's still 2 base versus 3, which keeps Ranged economically viable. If he can re-grab 12 o'clock, he'll be in an okay position. Better yet, if he can wipe out 6 o'clock with his army, would be in a good position. Urbmon now grabbing the mineral only, top left, and going to go ahead and cycle up and try to grab that base at the 12 o'clock location as well. High Templar just chilling there. Biding his time. Just kidding. Going to get surrounded by Hydralisks. He just wanted to be friends, but violence chosen instead. Drop. High Templar landed. Doesn't look like he's going to be able to get a Psystorm off, but we have 2 Reavers also sneaking in. Observer is moving forward to try to create a path across those lurkers. Their Archon's fanning back. Psystorm's getting dropped over the edge. And the Reavers honestly can pelt across the low ground, so a lot of this being cleaned up. The Scourge trying to sweep in. They are going to be able to wipe that shuttle up. Urbmon attacking uphill in the midst of this and eating a lot of Psystorm. All of his units getting piled up. Good job on Range not to Psystorm his own observers right there. Lurkers getting cleaned up. The Archon's trying to blockade. This is pretty good exchanges for Ranged overall. Urbmon down 118 supply right this second. 40 supply lead for Range. 12 o'clock base, however, coming into his favor. So these bases just spawning. Might be able to get remining there, which he needs to in a hurry. But I gotta say, Range's trades have been fantastic. The Reavers have been doing their work. Looking to sweep an attack from behind. There isn't any Psystorm to rescue here. Near max upgrades both directions. Some Zealots and Dark Templar is going to move up to the 12 o'clock to make sure that base gets wiped out. Urbmon also cleaning up here what's left at the 6 o'clock, and I think this is going to be another dead hatchery. Like I said, the problem for Urbmon is a lot of the action here is the bottom right-hand corner, and the territory he wants to hold is in the top left. Means he's got to go quite a distance to try to accomplish something. Very quick assassination of that 12 o'clock base. A lot of the observers going to get picked off. here bottom left. Some counterattacks eating some Psystorm at the 12 o'clock, and a Probe now making its way out. Wants to go ahead and hold that territory. More Overlords moving in bottom right. No Psystorm, however. We do have a Dark Templar in between. Let's see if Urbmon pulls out. But it is Hydralisks versus potentially a Reaver. Dark Templar moving out. Yeah, good Psystorm and also that Dark Templar are going to be able to clean that up. So nice defense here from range bottom right. Supply count's getting even. The bank is now even as well. There could be a massive fight over that 12 o'clock. We already have a pylon in place, potentially. Some Zerglings trying to field around. Range taking mid-map. Few Hydralisks trying to careen in. They might be able to pick off those cannons. Maybe not. They're going to try to morph into Lurker to buy some time here at the 12 o'clock as best they can. So still resources there at the mineral only. Looks like it's about to get emptied bottom left. The 9 o'clock position still producing for Urbmon, as is the mineral only top left, but he's basically at a base and a half versus Range's 1 base. Range grabs this base, that puts him up a solid base, and if he wipes out this mineral only, Urbmon's in a lot of trouble. He's got to do it mostly with Zerglings, it potentially looks like, because he's hurting for gas right this second. Archon's barreling forward. It looks like this is yet another dead hatchery. The Zergling's now starting to swarm in, eating a lot of Psystorm as they go. And yeah, it's gonna be the Zergling game from here on out, because the gas has started to get expended. The Lurker's not able to burrow as they're running into a mat, and look at the splash damage on those Archons as well. Devastating losses. So the hatchery's gone. The Hydral's not able to clear things out. They're trying to peek through and pick off that Nexus instead at the 12 o'clock. Nice decision making, I have to say, on Urbmon's part there. They're going to be able to pick off that Nexus, but in the trade, I think that is going to favor Ranged overall, especially as he is still a standing army here at the 12 o'clock. More units getting wiped out. Cannons engaging the Hydrals that are left. If Range can go ahead and it looks like he wants to hold, reinforce, clear out that 12 o'clock, re-grab it. Needs to make sure these units don't go too deep here. Losing some Archons for free, and that costs a lot here at the late stages of this game. Both players, so we got a hatchery drop bottom right as a pylon is planting. Some Hydrals moving up to go ahead and clear that pylon away. Cute little exchange. Like, nope, that's not happening. Ranged has a big, beefy army, and he has done a great job. So taking out that base at the 12, currently moving up to maybe hold that. Might want to, move across, wipe that out. But the problem for him now is if he moves out of here, he ends up losing this 12 o'clock as well. Maybe a stream of Dark Templar and some Psystorm would be helpful to cover this location, so it can go marauding out in the map. But right now, Urbmon capitalizing on the off positioning and re-wiping out that 12 o'clock, re-grabbing that mineral only top left. Every little bit of resource counts. Psystorm all over the place, mid-map. Hydral's getting wiped out. Looks like Range able to clear this army. Urbmon down 70 supply all of a sudden. Bank getting smaller now than Ranged. But he does have potentially 3 bases to get up and running, and they're at disparate locations, so it's kind of whack-a-mole now. Whack-a-mole, and also what happens if you can become the mole, I suppose. Then it's espionage. So a game of both espionage and whack-a-mole for Ranged. High Templar moving up. It looks like they are going to be able to clear out these Hydralisks. Looking for the probe alongside. Cancellation of the hatchery top left. And some drones, going to get wiped out as they're making their way across. Unfortunate for Urbmon. Regathering bottom right is finally going to try to take a shot. So he recognizes all of this mass top left. If you're up there, you can't cover all this territory, right? But Range looks like he's going to get aggressive. I'm not sure if this is a miscue and he needs to draw it back, or if he actually wants to barrel in. But now we got a massive amount of Hydralisks moving into the bottom right. The Reaver trying to escape. There's some resources left, and critically this Vespene Geyser But Psystorm, upon that retreat, a slew of cannons thinning the herd. The Reaver able to clear what's left, and it looks like those last 3 Hydralisks are going to be wiped out. And in the meantime, Ranged barreling in to everything top left. Which means that if Urbmon is going to try to stage attacks, he's got to move from the bottom left. Providing a movement advantage to Ranged. He's going to be able, that'll make it a lot easier to take 12 o'clock and hold it. So big swing here. Urbmon continuing to throw troops here bottom right. Looks like they're getting cleared up. And with this might be the game-winning shift for Range here as he wipes out all of the hatcheries top left, is now getting that Nexus. Should be able to get that secure. Urbmon losing his foothold to be able to challenge that. The gases are depleted, but that was still gas that he was able to trickle in. He's got a lower bank than Ranged, down 80 supply, and has made no headroom bottom right. He does have the mineral only and the 6 o'clock location working for him though. Overlord checking out is confirming that that 12 o'clock Nexus is in fact being constructed. Hydralisk being left, but Range going to go ahead and looks like pull back and maybe reinforce. He could actually probably grab the mineral only on top of this. Some Zerglings swinging in all the way from the bottom right. Going to try to peck that Nexus down so that Range continues to sit in a starvation situation. And it looks like the Zerglings are going to accomplish their goal. Wow. Problem for Urbmon, though, is that's territory he needs to take on top of everything else. Expecting some distance mining here. The Zerglings getting picked off. Top right mineral only getting grabbed from Range now. And finally some Zealots starting to stream bottom right. High Templar there as well. High Templar, is it going to... No, it's not going to end up with a Psystorm. A couple Zerglings burrowed on top of everything else. Urbmon doing whatever he can to slow Range down and allow himself to build that bank to try to get back into this and capitalize. As soon as these cannons are finished, Urbmon needs something here. He's starting to pour in the troops. Wayward High Templar loses his life, which would have been huge in this defense. Cannon morphs in. The Hydralisks are here. The Zerglings are wiped out. But this is a big army here for Range and a blanket of Sidestorm. Still delaying that Nexus drop, as now Ranged is going to have to move a lot of this cruft out of... Well, never mind. He was able to get it regardless. Unfortunately for Urbmon, I don't think he can defend that mineral only as well, so Range is going to be able to drop a lot of additional bases, which is going to put him at a massive advantage here in the late game. Urbmon trying to find the locations where Ranged is not. Going to try to take out this Nexus at the mineral only. Just sweeping in and assassinating Nexus. Left and right. Looks like we have a counter drop of High Templar at the mineral only in the midst of this. The Zerglings trying to retreat. The High Templar waiting. Looks like Urbmon spotted it, so he's going to be able to exit. Range distracted, moving his own probes out of the way. That's cleared out. Looks like the drone's going to resaturate now bottom right. So the guerrilla tactics have been good for Urbmon. He's closed the gap within 30 supply, but he still has not been able to deny that 12 o'clock or the mineral only, nor has he been able to re-grab the mineral only top left. Now a second, I missed it, another Psystorm drop from the high ground, able to wipe out those drones, and that's putting Urbmon down to a single base left that is starting to flag. Ranged down to just the last few resources. Urbmon crawling the resources in himself. Probes trying to get minerals in at the 12 o'clock. Distance mining at that mineral only. Got to be biting the nails for Ranged right this second, as it's close both directions. Still has the supply lead. Has reestablished that 12 o'clock. Looks like he's not going to bother building a Nexus here at the mineral only. He's just going to try to distance mine it. Urbmon regathering some troops. Some Reavers have gotten stranded. Some Zealots look like they're going to be able to reinforce and provide a save. Reavers and Archons and some High Templar at the 12 o'clock at a funnel for Urbmon. Unfortunately, this could be a very costly attack from this angle. And again, Erdmann can't afford to lose the resources at this stage. So able to wipe out some cannons, but the Nexus stands. In the meantime, Ranged pushing in, getting the Side Storm on the bottom right. So now Erdmann down to a single base here at the 6 o'clock location. And Ranged potentially going to wipe this out and grab this territory for himself as well. The banks are even, 60 supply lead for Ranged, and as we're getting to the last bit of supply, yeah, Erdmann gonna GG. Doesn't have the economy to hold. So we are going to go to a game 6. 3-2, great game. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for listening.